Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who conquered Europe and lost it all. What if I told you that one man came dangerously close to ruling all of Europe, only to lose everything in a matter of months? Napoleon Bonaparte, a name that sent shivers down the spines of monarchs and ignited the flames of war across continents. From an ordinary boy born on the remote island of Corsica to becoming the self-proclaimed Emperor of France, his rise was nothing short of extraordinary. By the time he was just 27, Napoleon had already transformed himself into an unstoppable force. His lightning-fast campaigns and unmatched strategies crushed some of the world's greatest armies. In just a few years, he redrew the map of Europe, defeated the Austrians, Prussians, and Russians, and made France the dominant superpower. No one could challenge his might, or so it seemed. But power has a price. In 1798, Napoleon set his sights on Egypt, aiming to control the Middle East and threaten British rule in India. But his grand ambitions were shattered when the British Navy, led by Admiral Nelson, obliterated the French fleet. Still, the defeat did not stop him. Returning to France, Napoleon saw an opportunity, a weak government, a restless nation, and an army that worshipped him. In 1799, with the Brumaire coup, he seized power and crowned himself first consul, effectively becoming the ruler of France. By 1804, he had declared himself emperor, standing in Notre Dame Cathedral, placing the crown on his own head, a powerful message that he bowed to no one. He wasn't just leading France, he was redefining Europe. His military genius allowed him to dominate the battlefield, while his Napoleonic code modernized the laws of France, laying the foundation for many legal systems still in place today. For years, Napoleon crushed enemy coalitions, forcing nations into submission. His victories were legendary. Austerlitz, Wagram. Kings feared him. Soldiers adored him. His empire stretched from Spain to Poland, and it seemed nothing could stop him. But then came the fatal mistake. In 1812, Napoleon made a decision that would seal his fate. He invaded Russia. With over 600,000 men, it was one of the largest military campaigns in history. But the brutal Russian winter, starvation, and relentless enemy tactics destroyed his army. Only 10% of his forces survived. The once invincible emperor was now vulnerable. Europe saw its chance. In 1814, a massive alliance of nations defeated Napoleon, forcing him to abdicate the throne and sending him into exile on Elba, a tiny island in the Mediterranean. But he wasn't done yet. Less than a year later, he made a daring return. Landing in France with just a few hundred soldiers, he marched toward Paris. But the impossible happened. His former enemies joined him. As he approached, entire regiments switched sides, chanting his name. In just days, Napoleon was back in power. This was the beginning of his legendary 100 days, a final bid for ultimate control. But fate had other plans. On June 18, 1815, at the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon faced his greatest defeat. The British and Prussians crushed his forces, and this time there would be no comeback. Captured once again, he was sent to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic. Far from France, far from power, Napoleon spent 6 lonely years in exile before dying in 1821. His empire lost, his dreams shattered. Yet his legacy lives on. His military tactics are still studied, his laws still shape nations, his name still echoes in history. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who conquered Europe but could never escape his own fate.